Hello everyone, it's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel, tap the notification bell, and like this video. That helps me to keep making videos. I'd appreciate it majorly. So there's a number of new developments in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. And starting with Trump was asked about it in the White House today. He was there with the president of Qatar and himself, giving for other things. But after they both spoke, he was asked by reporters, do you still think Epstein's a great guy or an excellent guy or something like that? Because he had been quoted saying that he was, that he was an incredible guy and that he shares his love for beautiful women, like Trump does, but that Epstein kind of likes him on the young side, something like that. I don't know when that was quoted from. That's not the exact quote. But he was asked, do you still think he's a great guy? And, he just said that, everybody knew Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach. He was a fixture. Everybody knew him. He knew him. But they had a falling out a long time ago, and, he hadn't spoken to him in maybe 15 years. And that, he basically said, I can tell you I'm not a fan. That's what he said. I'm not a fan. I can tell you that. He said that a couple times. And then he went on to defend basically Alexander Acosta, more or less, and then he said he's doing a great job as labor secretary, irrespective of, of that situation, and he did, he said, it's regrettable that decisions that are made 15 or 12 years ago, and maybe that it wasn't solely Acosta's decision, in that matter, even though he was the lead attorney. He was the lead prosecutor, the lead U.S. attorney that approved the case. He met with Jeffrey Epstein's lead counsel in a hotel somewhere to finally, I guess, lay out the terms of the agreement, the non-prosecution plea deal that Jeffrey Epstein got, in 2007. Lefkowitz was his lead attorney, as I understand it. And actually, and I'll get to that in a second, because Bill Barr, the Attorney General, it seems has done a complete 180 mea culpa and is now not recusing himself from the Epstein sex trafficking case, but only in regards to what's going on in the Southern District of New York. Whatever happened in the past, in 2007, the plea deal agreement that I was just talking about, he is recusing himself from that. So, that's like a complete 180 from last night. He didn't make that clarification last night. Last night, he basically said in fact, he was talking specifically about what's going on in the Southern District of New York. I guess Trump sat him down or got him on the phone and said, what the hell are you doing, dude? And so now, he's not recusing himself from the ongoing case in the Southern District of New York for Jeffrey Epstein. But he cited he had done work for a law firm where Lefkowitz was a partner. Bill Barr did, and that's why he's recusing himself from that aspect of the situation. But Alexander Acosta, the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, the lead one over that case, who basically approved the plea deal, and met with Lefkowitz in a hotel somewhere to hammer out the final details of it, if I understand it properly. He worked for that same law firm, where Lefkowitz was a partner earlier in his career. So he didn't feel the need for some reason to recuse himself from it. But, that's neither here nor there, I guess. So, but Trump went on to defend Alexander Acosta, saying he's doing a really great job as the labor secretary. So we'll have to look at it. I think Acosta at some point is going to be pretty soon is going to be toast. They're gonna put some distance in between it to try to make it not look so, look like they're guilty of something, But I would say Acosta's toast. The labor secretary, particularly in a Republican administration, but the labor secretary doesn't do dick, okay? The labor secretary has nothing to do with the economy or anything of any major significance, maybe within a Democratic administration, because it basically, enforces the rules and laws that regulate unions and workplace safety. But for a Republican administration, the role of that secretary is to do as little as possible and do, nothing is perfect. That's a great job. So, it's just pretty comical to listen to Trump tout him as doing such a good job. It's pretty hilarious how he's been through 2 secretaries of state, three secretaries of defense, and this is one of the things that Trump is known for firing people and high turnover. But his labor secretary has seemed to last this long. The guy who approved, the sweetheart deal, the sweetheart slap on the wrist plea agreement for, somebody who's now being accused of sex trafficking of minors. Being accused. They call him a pedophile, and in other articles, I guess because of the solicitation of prostitution, but the prostitutes were minors. That would do it. So yeah, there's that. But like I said, William Barr, the Attorney General, he has not recused himself from what's going on in the Southern District of New York. Southern District of New York, I think most people who follow Trump and follow this stuff understand that a lot of the U.S. attorneys there, don't like Trump. They hate Trump. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to probably leave it there. We'll just take it, a day at a time as this all unfolds. You all know what I think, that it's a joke. That, why did he choose this guy, the U.S. attorney, Alexander Acosta, to be his labor secretary? I mean, like I said, that's a joke of a post. And usually it's handed out to somebody who's extremely powerful or just has deep political connections, or somebody that can deliver something in return for being given that cabinet post, because the post is pretty much meaningless. Like Elaine Chao, who was the labor secretary under Bush. And if you want to look into, her, she's now the transportation secretary under Trump. It's Mitch McConnell's wife, and her father's family business in the maritime industry, which she regulates, okay, that does the majority of his business, as I understand it, with the Chinese. It's just hysterical for me to hear people say that Trump is draining the swamp. In fact, recently she was accused, and it pretty much got stopped, even though I think she's done it in the past when she worked as labor secretary. She was going to have some high-level meetings with Chinese officials regarding, the maritime industry, and I think some of her father's family business employees, like her sister or maybe even her father, were planning on flying over with her on, government planes to sit in on meetings. And that, because it got reported on, I don't want to get off. My point is that normally that labor secretary position is handed out to somebody that can deliver something, like somebody as powerful as Elaine Chao. Now, what is it that the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida, Alexander Acosta, who nobody's ever heard of before, who's not, super powerful and doesn't have a rich family, what was he able to deliver? And at how many different times, whether it's during his confirmation hearing where people are asking about this Epstein plea agreement, Trump's aware of Epstein. He says, they had a falling out, that he hasn't talked to him in 15 years. He says he's not a fan of him. At what point would he have not cut ties if there wasn't some other reason, to keep him, to name him in the first place and not fire him, even though he will get fired. And that's the story there, man. All right, that's the story. Believe me, this is just the beginning, in my opinion, unless it's able to be squashed. And that's probably why William Barr, in the course of just 24 hours, less than 24 hours, is now saying he's not recusing himself from the Epstein case. But, this could be just the beginning. And that's the story there. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.